scheduled at 4:30. I need to get to it. Okay, I'm sorry. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. It is a joy to be with you today. Boy, have we got a lot to talk about. I don't know. It's just a time in which I have whiplash, everybody. I start off with one big story. By 12 o'clock, it's another one. By 3 or 4 or 5, it's yet another. It's just one thing after another. But I guess because the country will be 250 years of age next year. At least that is the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It's a big, big birthday because it's an inflection point. Empires don't last more than that amount of time. And I think that America, is right where Dr. King said in his book entitled, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community? My brother, Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. said, are we going to have a more perfect union? I have to think about that. And I bring that up because today we have to talk about Rosie O'Donnell, someone for whom I have tremendous admiration. She has moved to Ireland, her ancestral land, but she was born in the United States of America. And really, she's quite American, but she wanted to explore something different. A lot of Americans are doing that these days, and we've always had the freedom to do so. That having been said, she really has been bothered by what's been happening in Texas. Texas is, if not a preventable disaster, it certainly has been mitigatable. Texas is sitting on $32 billion with a B in excess monies. A $1 million emergency alert system was all that county needed. And the governor would not sign off on it. $1 million in a floodplain that is known for catastrophic flooding. This river rose 26 feet in under 5 hours. 26 feet. Think about that. We don't know how many people are missing. There are entire RV parks that were full because this was the 4th of July weekend, everyone, that have been swept away. They're looking for RVs full of people. That's what's happening. People who could normally access FEMA at a rate north of 90% and get that $750, which many people, that's their lifeline. Now only 15% of the people were able to get through. More than 2/3 said I couldn't get through on the phone because the people have been fired. There's nobody there to answer the phones. And so people are going to come together on July 17th about that and the Medicare and Medicaid cuts, the taxes on Social Security. So you're going to have less money to do much more. And you need to do much more with a lot less money. People are coming together to stir up some good trouble. It's called the John Lewis National Day of Action. I hope you will get involved in it. But let's talk about what's happening. Because I know it's not that easy. And I know my soror, Attorney Anastasia Sanat, can help us to understand how difficult it is for someone who was born in the United States of America to have their citizenship taken from them. But the fact that the specter of this has been introduced into the national dialogue, to me, is very dangerous. Something's going on here. Something's going on. And I can just tell you on a personal note, I've met Rosie O'Donnell, and I found her to be extremely decent. Let me tell you the kind of person she is, Livonia Perryman, veteran journalist, award-winning journalist on television and radio. Of course, veteran of presidential campaigns, Jackson campaigns among them. Dukakis, we had Reverend detailed everybody over there trying to run against Reagan and Clinton, and so many. You've worked on so many campaigns on the national, state, and local levels. Attorney Anastasia Sanat, professor of law, and of course, immigration lawyer. Attorney Linda Bernard, brilliant civil rights attorney, and she is also a commissioner of police in Detroit, Michigan, and of course, the past national president of the largest Black Bar Association on earth. More than 65,000 lawyers. Chair of Rainbow Push, also. I don't know. And commentator on Court TV. Is there another job? Well, your number one job is being mom, but I'm trying.
I'm in practice.
Oh, okay. She does have practice. Okay. A very successful practice. But you know what? I met Rosie O'Donnell some years ago. And one of the things that really impressed me about her, I remember when Arsenio Hall got on television, Livonia. Remember, he got that by default. That was Joan Rivers' show. She had a falling out with Fox. And she said, you know what? I'm going to give you the biggest middle finger of all. I'm going to give it to this black comedian. And you know what? This guy swung for the fences. He did something that you had never seen in late night television. He put Heavy D, he put the black culture on TV. It was the number one show overnight, and every black person I know from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, everybody was watching that. Well, Rosie O'Donnell kind of did the same thing. In daytime television, you wouldn't have expected to have seen a Toni Braxton. Though she was on her first show. And I did her show after I sang at the Clinton inauguration. Frank Langella was kind enough to mention me, CK. He was on the show the day after the inauguration, and she asked him, she was like, it was so exciting, it was great. He said, yeah, but the highlight was there was a young woman, I think her name is Santita. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She sang the national anthem, beautiful voice. But I could hear her, but she sang it softly enough for everybody else to sing, and I've never seen anyone do that before. She invited me on the show. What was most impressive to me was that after my father and my brother and I walked off the set, there was a black man who walked up to us and introduced himself, and it was her manager. She had been with him, CK, and Anastasia and Linda, since her first gig. And as big as she got, she never left him. As she grew, he grew. As he grew, she grew. That's who Rosie O'Donnell is. So whenever you see her, I want you to think about that. I want you all to think on that. Think on that.
I'm shocked.
Yes, it is shocking, but she is sought to be fair, and she has never ever stepped away from an opportunity to stand up for those who are dispossessed. And so she did that when she was looking at what is happening in Texas, because so many people have died, and it's absolutely unnecessary. Not just these children and the young people, the counselors who were swept away. RV parks have been swept away. They are looking for people. There was a gentleman who was on CNN who just looked exhausted, and he was an expert of some sort, and he said, we don't know how many people we're looking for. So many people who were here are gone, and we can't find them. Now, this was several days ago. But she made a comment, and guess what? According to this from Raw Story, the comedian actress recently injured Trump's MAGA followers for pinning blame on the president for the flash floods in Texas, saying on TikTok, when the president got all the early warning systems and the weather forecast abilities of the government, these are the results that we're going to start to see on a daily basis, because he's put this country in so much danger by his horrible, horrible decisions and this ridiculously immoral bill that he just got signed into law. It took days, the story continues, but Trump returned fire Saturday morning on Truth Social, writing, quote, because of the fact that Rosie O'Donnell is not in the best interest of our great country, I am giving serious consideration to taking away her citizenship. She is a threat to humanity and should remain in the wonderful country of Ireland if they want her. God bless America. O'Donnell, should be noted, was born in New York. So let me start with you, Attorney Sanat, and then I'm going to come to you, Attorney Hoffler, and then you, Attorney Bernard, and you, Livonia, because you know how this is being played. You are a media expert here. And
well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you having me on the air. I have so many things that I want to say, but First and foremost, under immigration law, there is a way to take citizenship from people, but generally it relates to those who have been naturalized. It is not related to those who have a birthright. That birthright to citizenship is protected by the amendment, the 14th Amendment. That, of course, was written in because of how Black people in America were being treated. And they wanted to make sure that the protections existed for them. Now, of course, those protections exist for more than just Black people. They protect a lot of different people. I think what's important to note is, why is he making this such a big deal? Why would he say something like that? And what I've learned over the past 7 months is that he's doing what I call playing the media, because he wants to distract us from what bad things are coming down the pipe. He wants us to focus on what would be considered a minuscule act of, I guess, discomfort in his words, for the actual acts, for example, the big, beautiful bill that just passed, and how that's going to impact Americans as well as immigrants coming into the United States. He wants to distract from the fact that TPS was terminated for Haitians, for example, but then a federal judge, made a national injunction stopping that from being done. And it has to, of course, be reversed by a higher court, which would be the Supreme Court. He wants us to stop looking at how he's increased exponentially fees for people who are generally applying to get into the United States from what we would call economically challenged countries, and how that will impact who can come into the country. 1 minute asylum applications are free. Now there's like a $900 price tag on it. 1 minute appeals were $110 from what an immigration court judge would do. Now it's $900. He's also limited the amount of immigration judges that are allowed to sit on the bench. He increased it by only 100, but we have more than 12 million people he says he wants to expeditiously remove from the United States. But how can you expeditiously remove anyone from the United States when, one, there was a class that was literally almost done with their training to be immigration judge, and he fired them. Two, he fired other people that were hired or had been appointed under other administrations that he didn't like. Three, he's keeping others from getting hired unless they're going to do what he wants. And that, of course, is not due process. So when we're thinking about, why is Rosie O'Donnell in the news for a citizenship she cannot lose because she was born here? We're doing it because he's trying to cover with an umbrella the mainstream news of someone popular with something that he knows is super unpopular, which is the impact on our system and the types of reforms that he's actually made by signing it on, as you mentioned, July 4th, 2025. So when he signed that bill, and he made sure that bill was signed on July 4th, he included all of these immigration related changes, economic changes to how things were going to be administered. And he's put in a lot of different revisions that impact the people of America. And he doesn't want you all to really just go through and educate yourselves on what's going on. So he says, let's just create some kind of fake controversy. That's why I believe this is happening now.
CK, what do you make of this?
Well, I have a slightly different take on this. We never would have envisioned that the U.S. Supreme Court would give the president unfettered discretion to do whatever he wants to do. Never would have envisioned that in a million years. I also never would have envisioned that this bill would have been passed in this country in my lifetime. And there are a lot of things that I would never have envisioned that have happened over the past 150 days. I believe that this action against Rosie O'Donnell is merely the precursor to laying the foundation so that ultimately he can revoke the citizenship of African Americans and other undesirables who constitutionally he should not be able to do. But because of the climate now, where he has the House, he has the Senate, he's got the executive branch, and he has the U.S. Supreme Court, who's going to challenge him when he decides to take action when the bill passed, where people who are U.S. citizens can be deported under certain circumstances or can lose their citizenship under certain circumstances that are not foreseeable now. So I think that I have a little bit different take. I think this is very intentional. I think it is merely the person who does not, never has, like Rosie O'Donnell. She's not one of my favorite people, I must say. I'm glad, Santita, you pointed out a couple of things that I admire her for, but she's never been one of my favorite people. Mm-hmm. But I think that this is intentional, and I think that he's going to go further, ultimately, so that he can get rid of U.S. citizens who are undesirable. And that could be African Americans, that could be any Black or brown people. So that's how I see this. I don't think it's a distraction. I think it has a distracting impact, but I don't think it's a distraction. I think it is a precursor to what could happen and what we could see.
I think he sees some daylight because I think he's very intentional. You're not dealing with someone who's not surrounded by people who can put something in his ear. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's just Black and brown people. I think it's dissidents, because it's people who would dare to speak up and out.
Undesirables, what I would call undesirables, dissidents, undesirables. But but if you're Black and brown, you don't have to necessarily be. You're automatically perhaps an undesirable.
I think though that if you are white and you speak up and out, you're as a dissident, because I think about the white dissidents who have been hounded to death in the United States. We have a history of that. Mm-hmm. And we have to be very, very, very careful. I mean, there was no greater dissident than John Brown, and he was not the last one. And was he the first? These folks, we get real nasty. I mean, I'm hearing you, I'm feeling you. I'm just trying to, putting as fine a point on it as I would. But Attorney Linda Bernard.
I disagree. I think his statement, he and Rosie O'Donnell have been arch enemies for at least 25 years. I think his statement was emotional and reactionary to what she's been saying and doing in her whole "I'm moving back to Ireland." This is the way Donald Trump is. Everyone knows that. But I mean, he knows he can't do it. He's not stupid. But this is poppycock. I mean, it's just a diversion to keep you away from looking at maybe other things. So the media starts to chatter. This is what he does. I mean, this is showmanship at its best. And she'll respond in a showmanship manner. They both do all the time. They've been doing it for what, at least 20 years, 25 years? Well, so no, I don't think I think it's much ado about nothing.
Now, I don't know. I can't help but think that it's not much ado about nothing. But that I just, it's like when I listen to people who joke, Livonia, I always wonder what's behind that joke, because every joke has a mooring and it has a context. And but I'm
cracking but facking. You're saying you're cracking but facking, but no.
Yeah, but that's why I'm glad to be getting these different perspectives here, because a lot of people, everybody's seeing. It's a global view that I want. I don't want an echo chamber here. I want to hear, CK, I want to hear your take. Anastasia, I want to hear your take. Linda, I want to hear your take. Livonia, what say you? Because you craft messages all the time. Oh, you'd have a good time with him, wouldn't you? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, first and foremost, he is testing the waters. Let's just be very clear. This is nothing, the culture that we're living in, the times that we're living in, the actions that are taking place, the type of person that's in the White House. No one on this phone or on this line or on this show ever think that we would ever see anybody who would use foul language, disrespect women, disrespect dissidents, be they Black, white, or brown, disrespect the disabled, would be in the White House and running a world program. No one would ever think that. So what we have to understand is that this is not by mistake. Nothing at that level in the White House. No one, and understand this, not one word is arbitrarily decided upon at that level. There's a strategic method, madness behind every action that takes place. Even though there's total chaos, I agree with everybody who just spoke. Total chaos is created to defer, as you all said, and move people to a whole nother discussion. So the chaos is set up and the balloon is put out. Can I, Trump, really remove somebody's citizenship? He's asking the question. He's testing the waters. You just said he is running the Supreme Court, the House of Representatives, the Senate. All of these mechanisms are under his hands right now. So he is saying, well, maybe I can do this. He doesn't know until he tests the waters. What he did with Rosie is like pulled out his regular conversation and used her as the bait. She is the bait. And then guess what happens? My good fellow journalists and media people around the world, some of the best who are making $5-10 million, they run after the story under chaos. So you're absolutely correct. Everybody on the phone and everybody on the show, he's over here making decisions that will crush our lives, regardless of whatever color you may be. And every Magna person who's wearing a red hat, you are included in that situation. 18,000 fired here, 20,000 fired here. We lose women and children. Remember, let's call it like we see it. In Texas, the majority of the people that were lost were white people. So understand, this is not about just one group of people. It is about this madman sitting in the White House, making decisions on based how he feels. But trust me, there's a strategy, a plan, a vision of how this is going to take. I keep telling people, check your history. If you check the history of the 30s and 40s, when the Nazis were evolving, you can hear it, you can see it. They have to pick a group of people or pick a person, and they use them as diversions. And then they creep in and destroy a people and try to destroy a country.
But wait a minute. That happened to us first here.
Yes.
Wait a minute. I mean, we keep going back to Nazi Germany. I think that's important. But Black people were not originally enslaved in the United States. Slavery was racialized, and we cannot forget what happened here in the United States of America. Here. Because he's also, and the reason I'm thinking as well, I come to you, Linda, he's throwing something out. Of course, Elon Musk and Zoran Mamdani are naturalized citizens, but the whole spectrum of who deserves to be a citizen. Now, no one is talking about his wives, or that a genius visa for Melania. She's a model. I mean, I'm not casting
with a small M, by the way.
Well, yeah, but I'm not casting aspersion upon her at all. I'm not casting aspersion upon her intellect because I don't know what it is. So I mean, no, really, I don't know. So I mean, I'm not going to do that. But I will say that she's not a Nobel laureate. She's not someone who went to school, say, on a full scholarship for X, Y, and Z. I mean, because there's some indicators that you have in your life that you might be a standout in this area or not. But that's not what we get from her. And it's just, and people have been telling us to go back to Africa for 400 years. Livonia, CK, Anastasi, Linda. That ain't nothing new. Well, they might not say that to Linda. Just having fun with you, girl. To talk to us.
I beg your damn pardon. But
this is not by. I just want to say one more time. This strategy, these conversations are not by accident. It appears that it is, but he is throwing out conversations and ideas to see if they would catch on. Does he have room to do what he said he wants to do? And you're right, CJ. that CK, that he actually would rather, and you too, that he is not just looking at those individuals who are black and brown. He's looking at people who may not agree with him, just not agree. That he actually can destroy their lives. I mean, but let's talk about that. Joy Reid. He told the people at the network before he was elected that he was going to take her out, and he did. Let's understand these, like you're saying, Santita, that he has done things that he told us that he was going to do. Be clear on that, everyone. That is the fact.
But he and Rosie O'Donnell, as I said, have been lifelong enemies. And what happens to Rosie O'Donnell to me is not even a pimple on an elephant's ass, quite frankly. The more, yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw the news and everything, they're getting ready to give Donald Trump the Nobel Prize for Peace because he brought the African leaders together.
They're nominating him.
Yes, that's correct. He brought the African leaders together. He's doing this, doing that, doing that. This is so far beneath anything that's important in the world. It doesn't make any sense. I mean,
Netanyahu, a war criminal, nominates you. I don't know. I don't want him to nominate me. Someone who's actively killing a whole race of people, a whole. I mean, ethnic cleansing. That's what he's doing. Oh my God.
Well, that's not how the world views it. And the African leaders that were at the White House have thanked him for interceding there and trying to get peace in Africa. And what's happened with bringing Iran, taking Iran out of the equation for nuclear warfare. All these things. There's a bigger picture that is important.
And let me say this: what he's doing in Africa, these are leaders who do not have the popular support of their people. The strongest leaders on the ground in Africa are not those leaders who agree with President Trump. No, that's a misread. With all due respect, Linda. It's not. No. I mean,
but at his meeting with the leaders, he's asking the president of Liberia, how he learned his English. So
you speak so well. My. Well, how did you do that?
And they all speak. They speak the American accent in Liberia because it's an American colony.
Right, but it's intentional ridiculousness. It's intentional ridiculousness.
It really is. He sat across from presidents from Africa and asked and we've all, and just so everybody will be clear now, probably everyone on this show has been told, "Oh, you speak so well. Oh my God, what school did you go to?" We have all experienced that. So let's not act like it didn't happen. It happened on world television to one of our leaders. We should be outraged. That wasn't by mistake.
Well, but I'm, even beyond that, I'm looking at the political dissidents, because you have Black people who are on the team. Okay. You got Clarence Thomas, you got some other people on the team, and they are fairly safe. I'm talking about people who stand up against the oligarchy, who stand up against the assault. I'm not going to say on the democracy, the assault on people. Medicare and Medicaid, you're taking $1 trillion out of healthcare. People are going to die. Social Security, you're taking more money away from people who have earned that money, who've earned a pension, who've earned a social safety net. That's gone.
No, the rules to get those benefits have changed, i.e. you have to work or you have to volunteer. You got to do something to get money. Just can't get a free check.
Linda, I'm from poor people. And most poor people work hard every single day. The people who are these Medicaid recipients, of course you have one or two people who game the system, but nobody games the system like Elon Musk. Elon Musk wouldn't even investigate himself. And no one has benefited more from the agency that he would not investigate while he's cutting everybody else. The Pentagon has flunked 7 consecutive audits, but he wouldn't start there.
Defense. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, are you for real?
Just so you'll know that these new changes, or changes, not new change, but changes go in 26 between 226 and 228.
And they're designed I just had
After the elections.
I just had Alex Lawson, who is the executive director of Social Security Works. What is Social Security Works? It is the chief lobbyist organization for Social Security in the United States and Medicare and Medicaid. And they won't admit it, but it's all being demonstrated that that's what's going to happen here. These cuts are coming. They've taken $1 trillion out of the healthcare system and they put it over in defense. Why is Robert Kennedy talking about putting a chip in me? What?
The Social Security issue is very easily solved. All you have to do is take the cap off of the limit for when they stop, deducting Social Security. They made it unlimited, it would be solvent tomorrow. Everybody had to pay Social Security at $500,000 or $200,000 or whatever, it would be solved. I don't understand why it's even debatable.
It shouldn't be a debate. I don't think because when I go through the fast food restaurant to pick up coffee for my mother because she loves it from a particular place with golden arches. I'm tired of seeing old people, my elders, working in that place. And I think about my own grandmothers who died within the last 10 years. And I thank God, CK, when my grandfather passed, in 79, my grandmother never works anymore. Not beyond his pension, she had a son who could make sure she was more than all right. Okay? My mother's mother, the same thing. They were more than all right. Everybody doesn't have that space.
No.
And most folks don't. And you should not work. And my grandmother works at the VA delivering your food when you were in the hospital for more than 30 years. My grandfather was a postal worker. I'm from basic people. And I see how hard they work every day.
Old people's Social Security is not being affected. It's everybody else who's on Social Security between.
I was about to say my generation.
I think that what's happening here is just awful. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that this is more than a distraction, CK. I think that there's some window they've either opened or they're trying to open.
Yes.
Anastasi, I don't see. The thing is, the reason I think part of the disagreement, you're younger than we are also.
It would be suicide.
But we have having our history in this country. We know these folks throw their rocks and they hide their hands. What did indigenous people have said? They speak with a forked tongue. We know we have been lied to for so long. You can say, Bill Cosby's case was sealed. Why did he go to prison? It was settled, it was sealed. These folks, they do there are no rules when it comes to folks when they want to destroy you. There are no rules. And these people will open a door since they are already imprisoning people. They imprison us more than anybody else. They're open and now they're sending us to parts unknown. They did that. They disappeared us here in Chicago, Anastasi, at Holman Square. That is a place that was a police station that was predicated, that was modeled after a CIA black site. Black and brown men would walk in and they would not walk out.
The bigger issue is not his reasoning behind, but it's what we can do moving forward. And I think that one of the things that we can do is to bring awareness, get out there, bring awareness, and let them know this is the things that you need to do. We need to change over the House. We've got 4 black people in the U.S. Senate. We need to increase people in the U.S. Senate that will think and act the way that we want as a citizenry. Same with the House of Representatives. We need to start letting these older people that have been sitting in their seats for a long time, not moving and acting in ways that favor us, to step down so that younger people can keep the fight going. I think what's interesting is, even though this bill passed, another bill can come and wipe it all away. It is not that hard to wipe it away. It is hard, of course, to get it passed. And that's where we need to be, is in a situation where we know we can build a bill that can get passed.
This is the challenge. Hear me, because I've had David Daley, who's a New York Times bestselling writer, senior fellow at Fair Vote. He wrote Rat Effed, Unrigged, and Anti-Democratic. It's a trilogy of books. And he outlines for us very carefully how we've been gerrymandered out of power. The thing is, if it were that simple, we would be in a very different place, Anastasia. You've had the most brilliant people in the world leading the struggle for freedom in the United States. It ain't that easy, because these folks will change
Not
and
in
rule
Congress.
on you. It ain't that. I mean, I'm hearing you. What we have to do is be vigilant. But I'm just here to tell you, these folks change the rules on you. They play these games, and we need to be very clear on what is happening now. I'm saying, I think I'm hearing him say something, and I want to be aware of,
That's
of
right.
what is going on. All I know is if you just give me a little bit of daylight, you give me a hint. My seventh grade teacher, Mrs. Elsie Harrison, used to say, "A hint to the wise is sufficient." And I want to be wise. I don't always act with wisdom, but I want to be wise. When he did that, I said, I have a bad feeling about this. They're already arresting people, putting them in jail, and wait a minute, and sending them out the country. There was a black man on TikTok who saw something that so disconcerted him. He said, look, I have to get on here right now. Black women, black folks carry your IDs, because you have people walking up to us in the street. Because many of these ICE agents, you have, number one, you have a lot of fake ICE agents. Okay. Then the ICE agents do something that we have not had. They're doing something that we've seen the KKK do. They cover their faces. Police officers in the United States have no masks. They have a badge. They have a name.
No, that's not true. Detroit, we wear masks all the time, depending on what kind of bus it is.
Yeah, but I'm saying
all of them do.
But I'm saying that has not been standard operating procedure in the United States. You're supposed to be able to see someone so that you have redress. We are a police state, and that is dangerous. Anybody want to come? Please don't have me just give a soliloquy.
I mean, this is different than what we've had in the past. ICE agents never used to have to wear masks because they were normally not videotaped.
Right.
Now we're talking about a community of citizens that are not only videotaping, but we're also targeting their families and their homes. When I used to work for ICE, people were knocking on my door because they wanted to abolish ICE and they wanted to come personally attack me. Why? I was just doing my job. But these are the types of days that we are living in. So if a person that wants to articulate some kind of need for a redress, they merely need to look at the paperwork. The names are there. They don't necessarily need to have their faces plastered all over the media internationally and so on and so forth. That I don't think is really the big issue. I think the bigger issue is, one, like you said, we need to definitely educate people, bring awareness. But two, we also need to find people that are going to be on our team. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to be black or brown, but they do need to be on our team. So even if black people are being gerrymandered out of roles or opportunities, we can still get the white folks that like us, the allies that like us, to make sure that the rules change.
No, see, I don't need you to like me. I need us to find common cause, because Cori Bush was pushed out of office by a black man who was the first black prosecutor in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. They gave him, APAC gave him some money. He's sitting in Congress now. He was, you see this signage behind me? They gave him so much money so fast, he literally put tape over his name and said, I'm not running for Senate now, I'm running for Congress. Remember that?
That's right.
I mean, no, this is where we are. So don't talk to me about, not you or anyone, don't talk to me about folks who look like me. I'm tired of that. I'm talking about somebody who's going to stand up for me and who's going to stand up with me.
Let's talk about gerrymandering, just so before we get out of here. One thing I need that people understand:
let's talk about
gerrymandering is not just national. It starts locally. The gerrymandering and how they eliminate us starts at home, starts in your neighborhood, start with your PTA, start with your delegates, start with your House of Representatives, your state representatives. It starts right there, those individuals. Then we can talk about changing the rules in Congress. But trust me, it is really the people who are voting these people in that may not all be uninformed. They are making choices based on how they feel, who gave them money. Once again, want to go back to Hill Harper. He was offered,
how much?
$21 million. This is a fact. They made it up. Made it up. He denied it, declined it, and they blackballed him in the Democratic Party. They blackballed, not the Republicans, the Democrats locked down all the money and all the supporters. So you have to understand the politics at home as you didn't understand the politics at the White House. Now, I'm telling you guys, he, meaning Trump, did not just have arbitrarily get up in the morning and say, oh, I'm going to pull Rosie O'Donnell out of the bag. And he's testing the waters to see what kind of response, how much light we have to do what he just said he was going to do. Who would have thought that he would build what they call alligator
Alcatraz,
and send people there? Who on this show would have ever thought we would see that day? So don't dismiss whatever is being said. I'm telling you now, nothing is being said arbitrarily, even though it sounds crazy. Remember, let me go back to this. Remember, we heard him say Haitians are eating dogs. We heard him, and he was elected president of these United States. That should tell you something.
Alligator Alley is serving its purpose. People are self-deporting rather than be tried and sent to a country or put in jail.
No, rather than
So,
being
to that
eaten by the
extent-
alligator, Linda. Well, I mean, what,
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying it's working. It's doing what it's designed to do.
But is that the way we want to do this? You want to send someone to eat to have animal?
You know how I feel about this. I'm with. I'm sorry, your name disappeared. From Haiti. Yeah, right. I'm with her on this. Her parents each applied for citizenship in the United States of America. They got the citizenship in the United States of America. They moved to America. What the heck do I look like letting a whole bunch of people who invaded our country from everywhere in the world through Mexico come before her and her parents who had lawfully followed all the rules? If I'm standing in line at the movie theater, you can't bum rush the line and get in front of me. And that's what has happened in this country.
I hear you, but you know what?
People like Anastasia's parents and herself.
But then you also can't open fire if you're at a movie theater and you get in front of somebody else. The police can't open fire and shoot and kill you. So I mean, I
don't understand the analogy.
Well, the analogy is you said if people lawfully, like her parents.
Her parents obeyed the rules. People who obey the rules come before
one
people
person
who
at
do
a
not.
time. Linda,
People who obey the rules come first.
I do understand.
I know you do.
If you don't obey the rules, and if you do come into this country because you're politically persecuted, you should be entitled to come into this country because all others come into this country. You should not face the firing squad because of that. Just as someone who stepped in front of you in line at a movie theater, yeah, that's not good. But the police shouldn't come shoot that person to death because they stepped in front of you in a movie theater.
Nobody's been shot.
There's got to be a different solution. It cannot be that we should just deport people and like slaves, like how black people came over here on the slave ships, have them in a fetal position the way we're seeing. That is not the solution. That is not what we expect to happen in this country. And I just wanted to say it's happening that way. What people aren't seeing is where is this going? Before you know it, black people who have been born here, who are citizens here, are going to be deported.
No,
if they're accused of a crime.
There is nothing to substantiate that system. No action, no nothing.
That's coming. I just disagree.
No.
I disagree lovingly, but
I do too. Always with love and respect.
Right,
that's not the point. Bottom line is you can't take cuts, and you cannot bum rush the border and come in and squat. But I tell everybody, this is my analogy, CK. You have a door at your house. What does that door say? That door says you have to have my permission to come in my house. You cannot just bum rush my front door and come in my house. You can't bum rush my country. You cannot come into my country.
But let me say this.
Certain classes, certain people have bum rushed America.
That's
look
always
at-
been the case. Money talks. That's all.
That's
That's
what
in
I'm
every
saying.
no, but
wherever you go.
I
It's
can
like
relate.
theater tickets. If you pay more, you get into the theater. I'm not
Linda,
dealing with that. I'm
I know,
talking
but you know
about
what?
bum rushing the country.
With all due respect, I want the same energy that we have for individuals to be applied to corporations. Because somehow or another, we will take on a person, and particularly people who are defenseless, who come in here and who work for little to nothing. But without looking at the corporations that bring them here, our corporations have tried to break Venezuela because we want their oil because it's among the finest in the world. That's what we've been doing. We've done everything we could do to destabilize their country, like we did to Libya, like we've done all over the world. And then the corporations push them here. We have a Secretary of State who signed an agreement to bring these people here. The Department of Labor relaxed their rules.
Biden did that.
No, wait a minute. During
Biden and Harris.
Wait a minute. During Hurricane Katrina, that was Bush, so that they could bring people from South and Central America here to rebuild the Gulf. They would not even let the people who lived in the Gulf, particularly the black folks, stay there and rebuild their homes. They sent them to Texas and even to Montana, all over the country. I mean, my goodness, you're not supposed to treat people this way. Yeah, and it is uneven. The most visa overstays historically have been, up until very recently, people from Canada. We don't treat white people this way. We treat brown and black people this way. We wouldn't even let indigenous people have their own citizenship on their own land until the early 1900s. Are you for real?
So true.
This is horrible. I mean, I'm tired.
We treat people differently who can read, write, and speak English, and to me that makes sense.
Well, I mean, our first lady doesn't speak flawless English.
She speaks 3 languages.
She doesn't speak flawless English. Get out of here. Get out.
I didn't say flawless. I said read, write,
No. You don't know what she can do. You know what she said. Be best. Are you for real? When is that grammatical?
She does speak 3 languages.
When is that grammatical? Be best. What happened to
She's
your?
Not in the equation. The elite have always been treated
she wasn't elite when she got.
Santita.
She wasn't.
You are fine if she is to elite.
All those damn countries speak 5 languages. Hello.
That's correct. You're right.
You're
absolutely right.
About languages.
Because my aunts did.
All those African countries, they speak 5 languages.
My aunts did. You're right. You're
right. Because you drive 5 minutes and you're in
another. You have an educational system. You have an educational system.
No. Because we're the United States of America. If we were like Europe, we'd be speaking a lot of different languages too. You keep on. I mean, no. It's not that Europeans are smarter than we are. They're broken up. So the English, when they drive a few hours, they're going to speak French. If they drive a few more hours, they're going to speak Italian. That's what they do. It's not that they're so bright. It's just that's the way their subcontinent
they're
works.
taught it in school, Santita.
By
the time every German or whatever who graduates from school can speak 3 languages when they graduate from high school.
They have to because when you drive around that little subcontinent, you speak it.
Hitler started that system, and you and I both know it.
No, what I'm saying to you is part of the fight on even having English be the main language in the Language in the United States is English is our unifier.
Correct.
Well, let me put it this way: if we're looking at
it is now the official language.
But wait a minute! Stop it! Stop! No! Wait!
As we look at
stop. One person at a time. There ain't nobody gonna shout over everybody. Don't do that. Stop. Yes.
As we look at this situation, even just the language, if we're looking at the lowest common denominator, and you know what, you guys beat me up if you want. I am not going to use the First Lady as a barometer of how we are dealing with individuals as their language. I am saying also that she was privileged, has been privileged, and if we're looking at removing people with guns, that is not the way that America was founded upon. I mean, surely we got this country through guns, but that is not what the Constitution really says. And we've been fighting for Black and white and those who may not have a voice to make a difference and using the Constitution. We have a man who is using and has ripped the Constitution apart. And I'm telling you, he is using these little tidbits in this chaos that he's building up. I'm going back to Rosie's little situation to see how much he can chip off from the Constitution again, how much he can chip off of rights in terms of people. And you're right.
The Democrats created this situation. The Democrats created it. Everything, it was so far left that everything that now has gone totally right. And when you don't know what a woman is, when you let a man compete against you, a man in sport, when you advocate this stuff, this is what created it. The genesis of this was the Democratic BS, and you know it's true. And now it's so far gone, it'll never come back like that again.
But Linda, what I'm saying is this: this is not a Democratic Republican thing. It's two wings of the same bird, and they all fly in the same direction. We had a genocide.
They know what a woman is.
Let me finish what I'm saying. No, they don't. Because we've all spent time in Washington, and Washington is a city where everything goes. So girls, stop it. I mean, for real, stop. And in the halls of power, they stopped. Don't you interrupt me. They stopped the congressional page program because those congressmen were so out the box. Don't you remember that guy who collected antiques, who loved his mama so much, who literally lived around the corner from the dormitory where they kept the pages? And he was so out the box, they had to end the entire program because they used to diddle the boys and the girls. My mother would not let me be a page. I was reading the Encyclopedia Britannica, CK, and I said, oh, they wear these white shirts and these white blouses and these blue skirts and their loafers. Because I've always been really corny. I'm not gonna front. And I said, oh, this will be so nice, Mother. Wouldn't this be lovely? She looked at me. She said, oh, hell no. Yeah, she said that. She said, you're not gonna run around there giving them coffee. And you don't know what all that is about. Now, mind you, I'm 12, 13. I'm like, oh, Mother, oh, Mom, you're being so harsh. Mm-hmm. Oh, one morning, my parents called me into their bedroom. I think I was 16. And I was about to go to Carnegie Mellon for the summer. And they wanted me to see this young man on the Today Show who had given them an exclusive interview, young black man who'd been going with one of the congressmen. And my mother said, and he had been an intern. He'd been a page, and then he was an intern. And he went through this, and my parents looked at each other, and they said at the same time, he's broken. Mm-hmm. And my mother said, that is why your father and I would not let you go there. Mm-hmm. Because that is much more common than you think. Mm-hmm. So let's not play. This has nothing to do with party. This has something to do with power and perversion. And we're seeing it play out everywhere. So let's drop it. Let's get real. And everybody ought to be sick of all of the craziness out here. So let that go. Let that go. And as we look at the trans issue, you know what? There's psychology, there's sociology, and there's biology. Sociology, psychology, they're mutable. Biology is not. But what we need to do is study it more. I tell you what, and while we're studying it, you behave compassionately toward people. And let's figure this out. Let's figure it out.
Santita, this is a world move. This is a world movement. No, I'm telling you, this is a world movement.
Well,
everywhere else they get killed.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait. We'll talk about trans issues another day when we have experts on here to talk about it. Because also, everybody in the world ain't trans, everybody in the world ain't gay. But I tell you what, everybody on earth deserves to be respected and loved.
Yes.
Whether you agree with who they are, what they do, whatever it is. And I'll stay right there on that.
Well, let me say this, okay. Even though
and you all,
if they come towards the trans, I'm going back to CK. CK
Please.
Said it earlier. If they're going after trans, if they're going after bisexuals, if they're going after women, trust me on this.
Can we sound Rosie?
You and me.
Let's so far beyond that now.
As we leave, let's talk about Rosie. Okay, everybody. Okay. So I'm gonna go around this circle because y'all have vexed my spirit today. I think I got an afro puff right back here. My hair's rising. Rising is rising. Okay. Attorney Anastasia Sinat. Are you still there, Soror?
I am still here. I was just listening.
Okay. 1 minute for you.
I want to thank you again for having me on. I did want to clarify a couple of things in my closing. One is something you had brought up. It's the international interference of the United States and other countries. That's what causes the sought after protections. I honestly believe that my parents who met here in Chicago probably wouldn't be here as a doctor and a nurse if they weren't interfering with Haiti back then, just like they're interfering with Haiti right now. So we definitely need to encourage people to get aware of what are the types of things that we're interfering with in terms of the United States and figure out how we can keep those individuals that are intent on interfering with those countries to stop so that we can have a better foreign relations and people would stop trying to get in a line that fits them, because obviously the line of my parents is not the line of those seeking protection. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear. Number two, I also wanted to make sure that it was clear.
30 seconds. Come on.
What, 30 seconds? So I also wanted to make it sure that everybody knew that on July 30th, we're going to be talking about the humanitarian crisis at the National Bar Association Centennial Convention in Chicago. I will be on a panel with 9 other people talking about it. So please come in and support. July 30th, Hyatt Regency Hotel, 10 a.m.
We will talk about that as we get closer to it. Literally, I have a minute, everybody. Now, don't give a preamble. Get right to your point. All right.
And we speak 4 languages in Haiti.
I
Go
got
ahead.
you. And everybody, and wait a minute, and guess what? And you need to. We speak one in the United States because we need to. And many of us don't do that well, but that's all right. We're going to work it out. Attorney Linda Bernard.
Only simply that it appears that based on the direction of the White House and of the leadership within Congress, we're getting back to what are really, in many instances, sort of old-fashioned values, which are important, but not the racism part of it. To the extent that any of it is racist, that has to be abolished because we're the foundation of America. But in terms of values, in terms of what a woman is, what a man is, that girls do girls, boys
I'm not
do boys.
talking about that.
I'm saying that this is my last minute. This is my minute.
No.
So-
No. We're staying on Rosie. Staying on Rosie. Don't do that.
Stay on what?
Stay on Rosie and citizenship.
Oh,
Stay-
Rosie. Oh, Rosie's citizenship is not in any danger at all. This is just crossfire between 2 natural enemies.
Okay.
Period.
All right, Livonia.
As I close, I would like to say that once again, any conversation that's happening at the White House or even at the U.S. Congress, it's not by accident. It might sound like it's an accident, but they know how to create chaos in order to defer or move people in terms of the direction. I really believe CK is right on it. Trust me on this. If it's some daylight coming in here, and if it's a conversation about incarcerating individuals, jailing them, or sending them back to their hometown, trust me, people of color need to watch out. Need to understand that. And my last comment, we talk about looking at corporations and understanding. Well, the networks and the people who provide us news and information are corporations. We need to deal with them because they're the ones that are disseminating information, be it right or wrong.
CK, less than a minute. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. My comment is quick. I think that this is intentional, it's deliberate, it's part of the plan. And this is step one. It's a precursor to other things that are going to be worse in terms of removing someone's citizenship who has been born here and who has U.S. citizenship, whether it's unconstitutional or not. There's so many things that have been done that are unconstitutional that the U.S. Supreme Court has upheld. So I just think this is a precursor to what's to come.
Well, you know what, everybody? Be vigilant. And the price of liberty is our eternal vigilance. Keep your eyes open. And if you want a monarchy, then step back and let other people do it. If you want a republic, then you have to get involved. Get registered, vote. If you can't get registered, get other people to the polls. But be involved in this process because the country is yours. This land is your land. It's my land. It's made for you and me. And we need to act like it, everybody. Coming up at 5 o'clock, we will be talking about Texas. There's a lot about this issue that you don't know, and I want to know if you are prepared for an emergency if it happened upon you. What if you were told that you needed to move real fast? And what dangers lurk in the water? We'll be talking with Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds and the former head of the Illinois Department of Public Health, Dr. Damon Arnold, at 5 o'clock. See you then, everybody. God bless you. AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota.
Adios, adios. Yes, 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 yes.